Welcome to the Journey Coach, everybody, and today we're actually going to look at how to get started and get organized for a class. This will help you prepare yourself so that you're ready for success throughout the rest of the semester. So let's get started. We're going to organize using 5 steps, and the first step is one that's really important but often is forgotten, and that's to get all your due dates into your management system when the class starts. In other words, don't try to put them in weekly. Look at your class, whether it's a 6-week, an 8-week, a 12-week, a 16-week class. There's due dates spread throughout that. Now, some of them are pretty standardized, like for discussion questions, for instance. If you're working in discussion forums, those due dates may be every week by Friday, you have to have your original post in, and by Sunday, the discussion has to be complete. That's standardized, but you still need to make note of that and put it into your system. So, whether you're using a to-do app, or you use a paper calendar, or you're using your actual calendar, electronic calendar, you need to get these in there like a Google Calendar. So start with that, get all the due dates recorded. Step 2 is to review all the instructions for all the assignments to really get a clear view of what you're going to be doing. And this isn't just about the overview and the syllabus to see, you have 4 discussion forums, 3 assignments, and a final project or a final exam. I'm not talking about that, although that is a step you need to take. I'm talking about stepping back and going, okay, I have 3 written assignments. When are those actually due? I've recorded the due dates, so I should know. But also I need to look at that and go, now what are the actual instructions? What does this entail? Is this a 10-page paper? Is it a 30-page paper? What do I need to do? For the discussion forums, how many references do I have to have in that? How long do they expect it to be? A 750-word post is a lot different than a 250-word post. 250 words in general in a double-spaced Word document is 1 page worth of text. And just on a side note, I always recommend for those discussion posts you write in Word and then copy paste it over. Don't write it directly into the discussion forum. But you want to know what the instructions are because you have to decide what kind of time they're going to take. So for you, a discussion forum that's a 250 to 500 word post might mean that you need to start work on that, and you know that once you sit down to write it, in 2 hours, you can have that written and ready to go in the discussion forum. But a 10 or 15 page paper, that takes more planning and time. So you may need to plan on writing for 2 or 3 days for a couple hours a day, and then you may need a few days for editing. You need to get that kind of planned and mapped out in terms of the time it's going to take. And depending on the time frame of the class, there's a big difference between a 6-week or 8-week to a 16-week class. And that if you're taking an 8-week class, that 8-week class has to have the same amount of rigor and assignments as a traditional 16-week course would have. You don't have less material to cover just because you are in a truncated time frame. So that means that you work at a faster pace, and you have to be prepared for that. Step 3 is to set up folders for the class. So whether you're taking 1 class at a time, 2 to 4, whatever that might look like, you need to get in and set up a structure. So here's how I recommend. You have your class, then inside that, you break it down by module or week, depending upon how the course is structured. So if they're structured by module, you'd have module 1 through 4, 1 through 8, whatever they are. Then you go into that, and I recommend at least 2 folders in this section. That you have 1 folder that's for the articles and associated readings related to that module, and that you have another folder that's specifically for your assignments, the discussion forums and the assignment work. And that way they're easy to find and track down when you need to get with them or work on them. Step 4 is about downloading all of the articles for each of the modules or weeks and getting them into the appropriate folder in your system. So this means you go look up all of the articles, you download the PDFs, and you do it before the class starts or at the very beginning, first week of class for all of it. This is not about at the beginning of a module or the beginning of a week, I'm going to go in and download my material. No, you need to actually go in and do it for everything. And this does a few things for you. One, it helps you identify early if there's any links that aren't working, which means then you can let the instructor know exactly what's happening, and they can get with the library or with course designers to actually track that material down for you. But it's hard when you're already into the week and you waited till Wednesday in a module that's 2 weeks long to inform anybody you can't get the reading material, which means you don't feel like you can get started on the work. And then they still have to take all those steps to try to track down that missing material. And that makes it hard for you. So my recommendation is you do all of this from the very beginning. Then you can let anybody know if things are missing or you can't find them. You could at this point go ahead and do a little additional research if you wanted to for articles, but for the papers that you have to do. But the bottom line is you have your starting reading material, and that's what you need to have done. Another advantage to this is that you need reading material on the go. So most in graduate programs, especially non-traditional graduate programs anymore, are working adults. And we have to find the time to read articles with every little freed up chunk of time throughout a day. So I'm waiting on my kid to get out of school and I'm sitting in the line of cars waiting. That's time to read. I'm waiting in the doctor's office to get into an appointment. That's time to read. I'm on my lunch hour and I ran into the coffee shop to grab something to eat and get a little something to drink. I'm sitting there doing that. That's a perfect time to read. I can find ways to get my reading done throughout my normal work week without disrupting work and without disrupting my time with my family, but it's got to be planned and you have to have access wherever you're at. So, second tip in terms of creating this file system, I really recommend I use Dropbox, but I also have a OneDrive account. I have a Google Drive. So I use all three, and depending on what I've got going on, I have them in there. But on my iPhone, I have links into those drives. On every computer I use at work and at home, I have links into those drives. I can get to any file in any of those systems at any time. So that allows me to read whenever I want to. If you've just got it on a standalone file system that is on your desktop computer at home, you don't have the flexibility that you need. So that would be another kind of technology trick that you need to take advantage of. Now, the fifth step in this has to do with your citation software. I'm a big proponent of Citavi, Citavi. I think it's one of the best, or really only knowledge management systems that's available for this type of work. But there are others that you can use for Cite as you write, like Mendeley, that allow you to have your papers in there, have add-ons for Word that allows you to cite as you write. So your citations are formatted for you, and so is your reference list, which takes some of the work off of you. But what you have to do now is get all those articles uploaded into whatever that software is. Now, this allows you to also access that material at different times. And if you use something like Citavi, you do have to have your computer with you. So that may not always be the only way you want to be able to access. Now we're back to our folder systems that we went through in step 4. But I want to go ahead and get all of that up there. Now, in Citavi, you can put things in by folders and by projects. So you could either make the class a project where all of the material goes into that one project, and then set up a file structure that works for you, so when you're writing, no matter what paper, or if it's the final project, you have all your material available. Or you could set it up by the actual assignments as what you need for the projects. You just have to make some decisions on how you want to do that. In Mendeley and other programs, you can also set up file folders for specific type of information, and that would also be useful for you here. But the goal is, I'm doing all of this at the beginning. I've got everything in my calendar and my due dates, and this also would be taking the time to make sure that you've got it broken down. I'm going to read on Mondays, Wednesdays. By Thursday, I have to write my discussion post. By Friday night and Saturday, I have to be writing on my assignment. It depends on when you have it all due, but you've got to set up a way for yourself to be able to manage your time effectively and get stuff done. That doesn't mean life won't get in your way sometimes, but it gives you an actual methodology to use. Then you're going to make sure you understand what kind of work you're going to have to do throughout this class and how writing intensive it's going to be and what that means for you. Then you're going to take a step back and you're going to get all the material already downloaded and in a file structure that you've designed. And then you're going to get it uploaded into the system you're going to use to cite as you write. If you do all of that by the end of the first week of a class, you have really set yourself up for success for the rest of the class period, because you're not going to be struggling with the organization as you move forward. Trust me when I say the actual work itself is hard enough. You don't need to, in week 4 or 5, when the work starts getting really tougher, still have to be struggling with trying to download things, put things in file folders, and get organized. If you'll set yourself up for success at the very beginning, you're going to be much better off at the end. I hope this was helpful. Be sure to subscribe to the channel so that as videos come out, you'll get information about them, and if you're interested, you'll know they're there to watch. If you need anything, please feel free to contact me at drtammymosier.com. I have classes available that I put together to kind of help you through the different parts of the doctoral journey if you're interested in that. Or if you want more information, feel free to just reach out and let me know. If you have any discussion that you'd like to have or questions you need to ask, feel free to post them down below the video. It's been a great talking to you, and get off to a great start and get organized.